Hey guys, and welcome to Little LBB91. We are talking to you guys about Will Smith. He finally admits to cheating within the marriage with Jada Pinkett Smith. It seems like she's not the only one who had an entanglement within the marriage, which is kind of strange because if they're in an open marriage, which she says they are, then really it's not an entanglement. Plus, she said they were separated. It's more like they had fun. But we're going to go a little bit deeper into all of that lovely jazz. Will Smith released part of a statement, I guess, with GQ, because he's releasing memoirs called Will, where he goes a little bit more into detail about some of the details within their marriage, but not all the sordid stuff about his particular infidelity and hers. But we're going to discuss it anyway, because we spoke about this a few years back actually, about how their relationship affected Willow, and also as well how their output on their the outlook on their marriage was celebrated at a point in time until people realized truthfully what they represent. So let's have a real conversation. We'll read the article by Entertainment tonight as well, and we'll get a little bit deep as well. Listen, grab your mugs as well, because listen, let me tell you something now. I got a cold, but I'm about to warm up with this lovely hot chocolate. That's hot. Let's not do that again. All right. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, you share, you subscribe, you click on the bell button for notification of what the uploads. And for those of you who are returnees, you already know what it is, baby. You got the minerals. You got the minerals. All right, then. So, Entertainment Tonight released this press a few hours ago, and it was Will Smith admitting to GQ, I don't know, press coordinator, whatever you want to call him, and he was speaking about some of the stuff that was in his memoirs called Will, and he expresses how he actually had extramarital affairs. Well, alluded to that Jada was not the only one who was doing extramarital affairs, and since only them two are in a marriage, I'm guessing that it must have been him. Okay, must have been him. All right, and I don't know. This maybe is this partly cleaning up Jada's name and cleaning up Jada's reputation? I don't know. We all kind of felt that Will Smith was doing dirty, because in the red table, I don't know if you remember, where he said, "I'm going to get you back." And she said, "You already got me back." And he said, "You're probably right." And I said, "Yep, that means he definitely got her beforehand. He's already done his dirt." And this article really confirms that the monogamy idea is the monogamy idea is more Will's idea, and the open relationship is more Jada's idea. But I'm not going to blame Jada. I'm going to tell you why. Because it seems as if you knew what she was like before you married her, and you married her anyway. The Bible says, do not be unequally unyoked. Let's get into the particular press release. All right. Let's have a little read. It says here, Will Smith is continuing to open up about his marriage to Jada Pinkett Smith. But I want to just go slightly above it, because the title they gave it, which was, Will Smith says Jada Pinkett Smith wasn't the only one who had an extramarital relationship. So he also had some himself. He also had some fun himself, which is probably why I didn't care as much that she was doing her thing with August Alsina. Okay. Now, Will Smith is continuing to open up about his marriage to Jada Pinkett Smith. The 53-year-old actor is featured in a new cover story for GQ and discusses the revelations in his upcoming memoir, Will. GQ interviewer Wesley Lowry read an advanced copy of the book and notes that Will does not go into much detail about his marriage to Jada. So he doesn't go into much detail, but there is going to be some detail that will help us at least to piece together some of the jigsaw pieces as to why we see this puzzle of a relationship that we do right now. Goes on to say the Hitch star says that a lot of details regarding their relationship have already been made public, including Jada's entanglement with singer August Alsina, which she opened up about on her Facebook Watch show Red Table Talk in July 2020. Jada, I quote, and I wanted to pause there because this is very important, right? This next part is very important. This part is obviously going to speak about Jada and what her beliefs were. And this is where you start to realize, men, I want to be very, very clear with you. If you don't have the same ideology as this woman, why are you marrying her? If you don't have the same ideologies, don't have the same foundational beliefs, why are you marrying them? You're causing yourself more heartache in the future. Okay? All right, let's read a little bit more as to what I'm talking about. Jada never believed in conventional marriage. Jada had family members, okay, that had an unconventional relationship. All right. So already we know that her past is already reeking of unconventional marriages, unconventional relationships, things that are not your traditional set. Therefore, why would you think and not to ask her what her viewpoint is of a marriage? Was it monogamous that she wanted? Was it monogamy that she wanted? Or did she want something else? Because that's the key thing. All right. Will says of his wife of 23 years, so she grew up in a way that was different to how I grew up. There were significant endless discussions about what is relational perfection. What is a perfect way to interact as a couple? There isn't no perfect way. But marriage is not about perfection. Marriage is about the imperfection and being able to love each other through those imperfections. Now, I'm talking about imperfection. I'm not talking about abuse. I'm not talking about cheating consistently. I'm not talking about robbing each other. I'm not talking about hurting each other. I'm talking about love doesn't count no wrongs. The wrongs are not intentional ways to harm the person, though. Right? Marriage is not about perfection. It's not about perfectional relation. It is about exposing the darker sides of us, exposing the weaknesses of us, exposing the parts that aren't so great, and then asking our partner to either help us grow through those moments or to help cover us in those moments. Okay, so we have a difference in fundamental ideology here. They grew up in different ways, which is code word for basically she don't believe in marriage. All right. So there was endless discussions about what is relational perfection, what is the perfect way to interact as a couple. And for the large part of our relationship, monogamy was what we chose, not thinking of monogamy as the only relational perfection. Okay, so monogamy was what they chose, not thinking of monogamy as the only relational perfection. Now it sounds like as if you already had in mind that monogamy wasn't going to be the buck end stop, but I don't necessarily believe that, because you haven't included your thought process well in terms of what you thought about open relationship, which means that leads me to believe that you are for monogamy relationships, but you gave in because your wife didn't believe in it no more, right? What can you do? The father of three adds that he and Jada decided to go public with their response to August Alsina's comments about his romance with Jada in order to protect themselves. I can understand that. The pursuit of truth is the only way to be happy in this lifetime, he shares. And we sort of came to the agreement that authenticity was the release from the shackles of fame and public scrutiny. And I think this is where it's a little bit confusing. Are we in an open relationship? Or are we in a relationship? Or are we in a marriage? Okay. And if we're in a marriage, what are the rules of this marriage? Now, we don't have the privy of what their relationship rules are or what they actually call themselves. But they stopped calling themselves, they stopped calling each other, I think they stopped calling each other husband and wife. They stopped doing that, which is the traditional, I guess, pronouns for the husband, for the man and for the woman when they get married. They dropped that title, right? Because they wanted to do something different. They wanted to be authentic. And I'm with that. I just don't know how authentic it is. Is it that you want an open relationship, or do you want to keep the marriage benefits? That is the brand, that is the name, that is the fame, that is the status that comes along with the fact that there's Smiths. Okay, that we've always known them as the Smiths. Is it easier to act as a Smiths but then behave as you want to behind or underneath the elusive covers, of this marriage? Will adds that despite the memes that popped up looking upset afterward, Jada's RTT episode, there was another reason behind this expression. It was midnight. We were going on vacation next day, he says, sharing that the details of RTT discussion were old. It's like, no, guys, I'm not sad. I'm effing exhausted. Okay. Larry also notes in the GQ story that Will delicately explained to him that Jada was not the only one engaging in other sexual relationships outside of the marriage. This tea is hot and it's delivered and it runneth over. What? Will, you mean to tell me you've been moving mad in the marriage? I need to know who went first. Okay? So we can see now Will and Jada, this is what they meant by, and this is what one of the videos that Will did. I remember he was saying, obviously, we were trying to look at each other to make each other happy, but you got to make yourself happy. And I said, yeah, that sounds good. It is. I mean, there's some truth to it. Honestly, you got to make yourself happy. But it's like the way he said it. I said, yeah, but that sounds like that's not great for your relationship. Because remember, people make up these mantras and these statements when the relationship ain't going too well, and it's like, do you really believe that, or is that because you're saying that because your relationship ain't in the best place right now? Real spit, right? Real spit. So yeah, we have given each other trust and freedom with the belief that everybody has their own way. That doesn't work in a monogamous relationship. Heck, that don't work even in an open relationship. From what I've heard with open relationships, you have to be so direct. You have to be so open. You have to be vulnerable. You have to be able to express and communicate yourself. You don't leave people in the dark. So there is no such thing as extramarital affairs in a open relationship, because every party knows where they stand and what they're about and what they're getting into. So it's interesting that obviously he says we have given each other trust and freedom. Have we really? With the belief that everybody has to find their own way. We also says of his and Jada's arrangement, and marriage for us can't be a prison. So dead it off then. Why are we in an open marriage? That defeats the purpose of the object. That defeats the purpose of marriage. That defeats the original plan that God had designed for marriage. All right? If marriage is going to be a prison for you, quit the marriage. But the point is that the Smith name is so important. The Smith structure that they have built around their family is important. The reputation is important. Okay? So marriage can't be a prison for them. They're letting each other fly. And it says, I don't suggest this road for anybody, but the experiences that the freedoms that we've given one another and the unconditional support to me is the highest definition of love. Well, you didn't need to do that in marriage. You could have experienced that with a friend. Since y'all are not going to be doing okie dokies anymore, or at least not doing a relationship aspect, you could have done all this stuff that you're talking about with a friend. You could have experienced this with a friend. You didn't have to get married to this person. Right? You didn't have to. So the highest definition of love, there is no greater love than for one to sacrifice himself. That's what the Bible says. Okay? All right. So, but I hear him. Will also touches on his fantasy involving celebrity women and candidly discusses working with intimacy coach Michaela Boehm and sharing that his greatest desire in the world was to have a harem of girlfriends. Yay. Hey, Will. So you want us to call you Will Solomon? You want to have a harem of girlfriends? Will admitted to Bohemian that dancer Misty Copeland and actress Halle Berry were high on his fantasy list, and even had her work on the list with him, and a plan to contact the women. Yay. Woo! Jesus is Lord. I don't know where I saw it or as a teenager, but the idea of traveling with 20 women that I loved and took care of and all of that, it seemed like a great idea. Will shares with GQ, and then after we played it out a little bit, I was like, that would be horrific. I was like, can you imagine how miserable? Oh, okay. That's a good picture. It's a good picture. He's a handsome man, isn't he? By the grace of God. All right. The two-time Oscar nominee says that the intimacy coach was cleaning out my mind, letting it know it was okay to be me and be who I was. I think he got lost in this marriage. I think he once he realized that Jada was not down for this monogamy relationship, I think he realized he made a mistake, and I think it hurt him, and I think it broke him. And I think obviously, you go through that little patch where like I'm gonna do me. I'm gonna let everybody know who I am, and then you calm down and you recalibrate. You're like, actually, maybe not. Maybe that's not it. You know what I mean? I think that's what happened to Will in the course of marriage. Though Will and Jada are in a much better place now, he opens up in his book about some of the toughest moments in their marriage. The actor writes that they reached a breaking point in 2011 on Jada's 40th birthday. He says he spent 3 years planning a private dinner for family and friends in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and did a screening of a documentary he commissioned that chronicled Jada's life and traced her family's lineage all the way back to slavery. When the couple returned to the hotel that evening, Jada was silent before Will recalls her saying, "That was the most disgusting display of ego I have ever seen in my life." The exchange sparked a fight so explosive that their daughter Willow begged them to stop as she cried with her hands over her ears. "Our marriage wasn't working," Will shares in his book. "We could no longer pretend. We were both miserable, and clearly something had to change." The actor's memoir, Will, is to be released on November 9th. I'm going to lie to you, I'm going to read that book. I'm going to read that book. Woo, I'm going to read that book. I'm going to tell you this now, I'm going to read that book. Okay? I'm going to read that book. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm going to read that book and I'm going to read it all the way through. Okay? Sorry if I haven't read your book yet, but I'm going to read Will's first. Okay? Listen, what's really interesting, Will has spoken about this before, about the whole display of ego thing, and he learned from that. I always said this, that the way she spoke about Tupac, for me, I'll be honest with you, I always said it was a problem. I love Tupac. I think everyone loves Tupac. Obviously, she was friends with Tupac. We understand. But the way she spoke about Tupac, this brother was never going to compare. This guy was never, and that's why the beef with him and Tupac happened, because it was never going to be able to match this guy. Ladies, please don't make your friend be the pinnacle and standard that your next man must meet. Please, don't do it. You will end your life very quickly, and you have a sad life. You understand? Right? But even saying that, like I said at the very beginning, he knew that she wasn't down for conventional marriage. It's just a lesson he had to learn. It's unfortunate because it's a life lesson. So for the rest of us, let's learn this lesson for him and say, listen, if I'm going to get married to somebody, let's make sure we have the same ideology. Let's make sure we have the same focus, same direction, similar goals, similar ambitions, because I don't want to get to a place where you're like, I don't believe in monogamy. Since when, Sway? Since when, Sway? That's why it was a surprise for Will. Because he lied to himself about the fact that Jada wanted this very thing. And that in itself breeded the rot and the bitterness, and that began to decay over time, the foundation of what they had. Because the truth of the matter is, they had a different foundation they built upon. But yes, guys, I would love to know your thoughts. What do you think about the Will and Jada situation? Him cheating on Jada, crazy stuff. I mean, we did hear about the rumors. I think was it Margie or Margaret or Margie, Robbie Elliott or whatever her name is, something Deme, Margie Robbie or whatever. He had done a thing with her beforehand. Listen, if they're staying together, like, what is the reason to stay together apart from image and want the kids to not feel bad about the fact that they're breaking up? Because you're already in an open relationship and you do what you want, which doesn't sound like an open relationship because there's not much openness about this. People are having extramarital affairs. Now, she brought obviously August Alsina around the family. It is what it is, baby. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, baby. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. We appreciate you.
Little black girl, you know what time it is.